bottom left, a little bit of work on my career as I say that. In the bottom left, this is ExpecT.
And up here in the top right, representing Team GP, this is Rex.
That's right. Previously on Jin Air Green Wings. And that's for a very good reason, because he's a good player, a very good Zerg. It was a very big shock, like you mentioned, to not see Rex or any Zergs actually in the top side of the bracket for Taiwan last season. Because we're used to having Rex in there, or Go Joey or something like that, like another Zerg along with the Protosses. It's you usually are going to have your three heavyweights from Taiwan. You know, your But Always, Nice, and Haas. I don't remember the last round of 4 that didn't have those 3 in it. But you're going to have that fourth wheel. Is fourth wheel a thing?
I guess it is.
Isn't that just like a regular vehicle?
I thought he was top 4
wheels?
last season.
Rex? I didn't think so. I thought it was 4 Protosses for some reason.
It sometimes feels like that.
Yeah, right.
it might be that he got bopped first, and that's why it felt like I was pretty sure he was in. I don't know. I'll fact check myself in a second.
I'm fact checking right now. Rex was actually top 4, so we actually could potentially have the exact same top 4. So you're right, Zeph. It's just that he got 3-0'd. And then 3-1.
Yeah, well, there you go.
So it kind of just like he showed up and then
memorable.
got smacked. Didn't win a series, unfortunately, Rex.
Yeah. Oh, that's rough. Well, hopefully looking to improve on that again this season.
Yeah, standing corrected. Apologies, guys.
I'm sure there's one that he would have missed at some point, but these seasons happen pretty close together, and sometimes we get them muddled up because it feels like just a couple of weeks ago that we were casting these regions for the previous season qualifier, and it sometimes gets a little bit muddled up. So what's lucky for us is that there's just so much StarCraft, we can't keep up with it all.
Yeah, exactly. It is for an 11-year-old esport. It always impresses me, and it's kind of heartwarming actually that if you really want to, you can just watch this game for 24 hours a day. There's just so many tournaments.
Yeah, live and breathe it. You can become Wardy.
That's right. Mr. 24 Hours. Mr. StarCraft himself.
All right. Well, nothing too wild out here from ExpecT so far. Looks like he's sticking to his guns here with normal Terran play. I believe the games yesterday he did a little bit of the old Hellion Banshee.
Yeah.
Which I'm quite a fan of. Is just a staple. You kind of can't go wrong with it unless you just move your Banshee into a Queen and lose it immediately.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't mind seeing him do something similar again in this series. But yeah, I think it's like, how do you slow down the Zerg without just dying immediately is the question.
True that. I do like this. This is actually something that ExpecT in Game 2 against Rex. A faster stem with the Liberator and the Hellions. And actually with this, he dropped an Armory as well. I wonder if he's going to do that here in this game. Certainly did that in the last series against Rex. It's already looking like the same build, but we'll keep an eye on that production tab as Rex continues to just shark around with those Queens, zoning back the early game light forces of the Terran here.
Yeah, I really like the start from Rex. He's already spraying the creep. He's investing in the excess Queens. He's getting a few extra lings out here for safety. He knows, obviously, that eventually some pressure will come his way, but it always helps to be prepared just in case Hellions try and sneak in or something in the meantime, just because Queens can only really be in one spot at a time. They're a bit unwieldy and not that fast. So we'll see how he goes here as he just continues to try and build an empire, and ExpecT starting to drop a little bit more production here.
Yeah, and those Hellions still threatening the third base. Rex respecting it though, keeping those Queens in position, keeping those drones on hockey as well, ready to pull them back just in a moment's notice. Lair and Bailey Nest is on the way, and I have to imagine that Rex is looking down the barrel of another spy here. Lingbane Muta seems to be his way to play this matchup, the way he likes to play this matchup. This time, ExpecT tried to get a little bit of harassment with that Liberator. It looks like he got a kill, but the Liberator took a lot of damage there. Did not die, which is good for ExpecT. They can use that later. But at the moment, ExpecT's got other issues, and that is that he's starting to get towards the 3 barracks production here. Stimpack about to finish. He didn't go for the Armory, so a slight difference there from that Game 2 last time they faced each other. But again, just playing very, very stock standard, very, very normal. and hasn't really found anything from the Zerg. Has just been sort of doing the motions, I guess. The early game TVZ motions. Nothing really to write home about.
Yeah, I also like the Hellion Liberator, much like Hellion Banshee. As long as you don't lose the stuff, it's always got utility later. Um, Hellions are a little bit harder to keep alive, but yeah, it's always a bit rough as a Terran when you're trying to do some harassment and it's not quite working. But I do love that with these sort of strategies, you can be in two places at once. So even if you're not getting kills, you're at least forcing him to pay attention. Maybe he misses a beat on the macro or something. That's, you know, something so minuscule, but
Right.
it's better than just sitting back and doing nothing. And Rex, he's just playing normal ZVT. Lingbane Muta.
Yep. Spire is on the way here. Macro Hatchery is going down as well as the 4th base. And ExpecT finally putting a bit more of a powerful army out on the map there as Combat Shield's just seconds from done. So going to hit with Combat Shield and Stim, obviously being done for a minute. But 1-1, a few more seconds away. So I don't think the drop's going to time out with 1-1 if he goes in right now. But those Marines going to have those extra 10 hit points. They're still going to have plenty of DPS on them if Rex does not get in position quickly. His army's out of position, now running into the main base. The Hellions and the Reaper actually going for the third at the same time, but Rex has split his forces. And it looks like he should be able to hold on both sides.
The Marines could be a bit of a concern because
the drones
aren't
stacked.
always enough to deal with that.
Oh, man.
He narrowly avoids a crisis there, and ExpecT is forced to lift out of the main too. So never mind, Rex. Pretty flawless defense right there.
Yeah, lost a handful of drones at that third base because they stacked up a little bit for the Hellions. You see they're a little cooked there, but they do regenerate. 1-1 now done for these Marines. Bit more of a power spike now for ExpecT, but still lots of Ling Bane. And they are forcing the Terran to jump between the main and the natural. But those Queens are ready for those drop shifts, so he's going to have to try and get his work done at that 4th base after all. As the Muta's going to intercept that Liberator. Ling Bane intercepting the drops over here, and with the Hellions nowhere to be seen, there's only a 2-prong here from ExpecT, and it's not a super convincing one as the Mutas finally finish off that Lib.
Yeah, he's really trying to get something going here, but Rex's defense has been great. I mean, only losing a handful of drones, it's something, but it's really not going to sting Rex any. ExpecT coming in again, looking for a bit of momentum here, but the Mute is making that slightly difficult. That said, he gets a full unload, and he has to wait for the Lings and Banes to come in so that he can actually engage this. So actually not too bad. Getting 8 drones. He will lose all of this though. So again, it's a bit of a trade for ExpecT.
I think, yeah, that was one of those weird things where Rex kind of didn't respect it very much. He only had the Mutas there for the drop, and with the unloaded 1-1 Marines, they really did deal with the Mutas very, very well, and the drones. Oh my god, Rex once again left a little bit open here. And ExpecT finding some weaknesses in the armor here of Rex, getting some damage in the main on some drone kills, and now getting a lot more here at the 4th base. 7 more drones. And that's equal work account for both players, but the Muta's coming across the map. Now they're answering fire with fire, doing some harassment. But again, this push for the Terran, that 4th base is almost certainly dead if he right-clicks on that with Stim.
It looks like ExpecT has found the move, and that is to keep the pressure up, because eventually Rex's defense will crack. When we think about how much damage he's now done cumulatively, it's starting to really add up. Now, can he hold on here? There's a big surround from Rex, and he is going to punish this. I don't think anything's going to survive that except maybe a medevac or 2.
Oh man, like no upgrades on these Lings, or the Banelings, but they were just in huge numbers and annihilated that force. And also very important for the Zerg, not just come in from one angle, but also surround the Terran army there and DPS it down with the Muta's assistance. So that ended up being a pretty decent cleanup there for Rex. The Muta's now getting back to work, looking for more harassment. ExpecT has turrets, actually multiple turrets, set up at this 3rd base to defend, trying to secure a 4th command center as well. But unfortunately, the SCV died in that 4th command center, and it's just now been put back on that 4th to replenish the timing on that. The safe spot, and I guess what do you say, the happy place here for a Terran and TVC is to have, you know, 75 to 80 SCVs, and then having that 4th base up with turrets and a planetary there. Then you can feel pretty safe economically and worry a lot more about rounding out your composition and deal with what the Zerg's showing.
Yeah, he's trying to sneak a drop around the left-hand side here, which nicely done, does dodge that sort of counterattack group of Lings and Banes that Rex has prepared for later. And let's see if he does get that 4th base up without too much trouble. And then, like you said, he can focus on other things and he may have another opportunity to start pushing out on the map again. Does need a bit of creep control because Rex's creep is actually looking pretty decent. And soon, ExpecT is not actually going to be able to move out without stepping directly onto creep from the get-go.
Yeah, that's creep spread.
Nice cancel up there.
Yeah, he gets to cancel up at the 10 o'clock location there, which is nice. Doesn't lose that hatchery. The drops now in the sights of these mutas, trying to catch those medevacs. A tough thing to get out of there with those medevacs. It's one of the things that makes it tough to hurt the Zerg when you're up against a muta player is when the muta flock gets really big and the player is really active and can read you a little bit. Drops become a bit of an investment because you're sending out 2 medevacs and you're basically saying, I don't think these are coming home. It's a one-way ticket for these medevacs. These have to do damage or I'm going to lose, 16 Marines and a couple hundred gas worth of medevacs here for free. And it's, as it is in the late game for most StarCraft matchups, a war of attrition.
Bit of a creep cleanup here in the middle of the map for ExpecT. Trying to prime the battleground a little bit so that he can actually move out in the near future. He does have drilling claws on those mines now. He's added in some Thors. He's getting 3 more racks as that 4th base economy kicks in. So he is well and truly in that space now where he wants to put on some pressure, start rallying, maybe some multi-prong. But like clockwork here is Rex with a counterattack the second that he starts to move out.
Banelings coming on in, but not that many Banelings, so they have to pull back from the bio, respecting it, which he absolutely has to. And the light army here of Rex disengages. Now, I say the light army because I'm starting to sort of hammer home that this is a tier 2 army at the moment from Rex, which is great when you have a lot of it and it's doing damage. But as things start to head to the tier 3, you really have to get there yourself as a Zerg, or the Terran army gets better than yours. And we do see that hive during that sentence from Rex, which is great because you absolutely have to do that. You can't stay on tier 2 forever when you've got your Terran opponent going for 3-3, but +3 attack, maybe going to be denied here.
He's going to lose it.
Oh, big pickoff, and even Ling Bane running into 3rd base, forcing a liftoff. ExpecT's army out of position, taking a little bit too long to get down here. Gonna lose that 3rd position and lose a bunch of SCVs in the defense as well. And this is a tier 2 cheap army for Rex, and he can replenish those numbers.
Yeah, he took your thoughts to heart there, Maynard. Right away, turns up the heat, starts doing the harassment, gets the +3 attack, gets a bunch of SCVs as well. And we need more of that. That's kind of how I'm more used to seeing Rex play this. He's quite aggressive with the mutas, with the run-bys. It is a style favored by a lot of Zergs for that reason, because it's not necessarily about engaging that army head-on. It's just about going around behind and doing all these backstabs and adding up that damage, chipping away at the Terran. So now he's actually got the opportunity to engage this Terran army in 2 parts. Part towards the left of the map is going to be cleaned up fairly handily, but there is this army on the right-hand side that looks like it'll get a hatchery.
Yeah, gonna get that hatchery, which is great, and he got a few Banelings as well, but I gotta say that cleanup for Rex looked really convincing on the left side. There was a lot of expensive units there. Thors, medevacs all went down to the mutas. And I don't know if ExpecT's going to get this hatchery just as easily. There's a lot more Banes here. Those Widowmines definitely need to be worried about here for the Zerg. The Queen's coming forward. I like this. The Queen's going to be tanky here. Going to take those Widowmine shots. Letting their babies get the job done once the Widowmine field has been cleared. In come tons of Banelings. And he's fighting on creep as well. There's no way ExpecT wins this engagement.
Very unfortunate. He is going to lose every last unit. Tries to do a drop in the main, but with that many mutas, it gets cleaned up very easily. 8 SCVs went down behind this as well. I guess there was another little Ling run by. And that Zerg army is about to upgrade, Maynard.
Yeah. It's heading towards the Ultra Cavern and even getting some Vipers out right now. And if you've just got a bunch of Marines and Widowmines, you are going to have your heart drop into your socks when you see those Ultras show up on creep. We do see a little bit more Marauder production from ExpecT, so he is, for a lack of a better term, expecting the Ultras here. But I feel like he's taken a few too many bad trades in a row, and that's not quite enough of an army to deal with what Rex has at the moment. These Widowmines really need to get some good connections. Oh, a lot of Banelings went down. That actually was pretty good.
Yeah, that went all right. He needs a few more of those, though. This is still a fair amount of... Okay, well,
wow.
That went okay. A few Banelings getting wasted on that Thor at the end there, and it will get taken out. So not the most efficient cleanup for Rex, but he does get the job done.
Yeah.
Keeps that Viper. And yeah, he's still not looking too bad.
Brutal.
Oh.
There's 4 drones, wrong place, wrong time. I mean, they also, I saw Rex kind of drag those Widowmines into the Terran army a little bit. It was one of those situations where it's like the Widowmine sometimes can be the best Zerg unit. Drag that into the just the bio and take it down. But we do have more mines showing up, but lots more Marauders here as well. Ultra #1 on the way. Chitinous not on the way, but Adrenal about to finish here, which gives the Lings a nice big power spike. A little bit more DPS.
This is an interesting time because I actually don't think that Rex has that much of an army. He's waiting for these ultras. He's trying to do a run by, but he's not really got the right force to fight just yet. You see him morphing in those Banes, getting a few more Lings. He's actually doing a ton of damage with these run bys. The Mutas are joining in the fun there as well. 11 more workers have gone down, and he just can't catch a break, poor ExpecT. He can't mine from any of these bases.
The ultras get juiced up there by those queens. They are definitely going to have a little bit more of a liability against these Marauder numbers, which are pretty convincing. And ExpecT has killed 2 hatcheries here. But unfortunately, he's also lost 2 of his own bases back at home, which knocks the Terran down to 2 mining bases at the moment. Actually, 1 because the other one's in the air. That's the main. So economically, Rex is still in a pretty good spot compared to the Terran. And he's coming in from every angle here. The Muta's in the middle of the pack. The Widowmine's getting dragged in there as well. And even a Parasitic Bomb because why not? Let's cast spells.
Yeah, he's got just enough left over to press the issue as well, despite not having Chitinous on those ultras. They're a little bit squishy, but he's got enough Zerg to keep ExpecT at bay and perhaps punish him too. Got to be careful with those ultras. He is off creep at the moment, but there's so many Mutas and not actually that much bio here that he can just force his way through, and Rex is going to take game number 1.
Yeah, Rex takes game 1 there. A little bit of frustration on the face of ExpecT, but a 17-minute TVZ and a very action-packed Marine mine, or rather Biomine against Lingbane Muta. That's the good stuff. It's such a fast and entertaining matchup when the players go for those kind of comps.
Yeah, it certainly is. I think it's everybody's favorite brand of TVZ. It's like the original flavor. Can't really beat it. And yeah, it's pretty textbook for Rex. ExpecT, though, he had some good moments and he had some good ideas. It's just that Rex's defense seemed so good, he couldn't really find that much damage. He did start to gain a little bit of momentum around this time, but never enough to make Rex hurt.
Yeah. There was some different like moments of brilliance, some flashes of hope there for ExpecT, where he took some really good trades. But it felt like once we hit the mid game, like maybe the 10-minute mark, ExpecT started to trade badly. And he traded badly enough a few times in a row. And I even mentioned, like, it's a war of attrition when you get to the late game. And he was not doing well as far as engagement was concerned. Yes, hatcheries were dying. Yes, he was finding damage. But back on his side of the map, the damage was way worse. So it was all relative in that regard, with the Zerg coming out on top in the end.
Yeah, a little bit rough there for ExpecT, but let's hope that on map number 2 he can have a few more of those moments of brilliance. Like, he definitely has the tools. It's just finding the right way to execute to get inside Rex's defense and properly punish him. That's always the difficulty, right, for any TVZ, is how do you, 1, get an edge, and 2, actually keep it. And I think a lot of Terrans are having a similar frustration at the moment, where that counterattack style is just so hard to deal with, and it's really hard to come up with an answer for it. But we'll have to see what he can do on the second map.
Yeah, it's certainly been very popular these days, since the reign of Reyna, to have lots of link counterattacks and that sort of thing, keeping you on your toes defensively while you have to attack as a Terran. Well, we're going to take a short break. When we return, can ExpecT tie it up with a Game 2 victory here against Rex? Don't go away. We'll see you then. G'day, StarCraft fans. Welcome back to the Taiwanese main event here for the DreamHack Masters Fall Edition. I'm main up with me as Zeph, and we are about to get into Game 2 here between Rex and ExpecT, with the Zerg maintaining his dominance over the Terran. 3 map wins in a row in their 2 series as they play together. Is it going to be a 4 map win in a row here for Rex? Is he just going to 2-0 ExpecT and move on? No questions asked?
I feel like it might be. I do like ExpecT. I'm always for more Terrans in this region, but it's rough. It's not looking too good for him so far. He hasn't been able to take a map. If this was a best of 5, he'd also would have been bopped by now. Well, cumulatively over the series that they've played so far in this tournament. But let's see how we go. I do hope to be pleasantly surprised, to be proven wrong by Mr. ExpecT here.
Me too. I love having my... I keep saying the word ExpecT, and I don't realize how often I say the word ExpecT until there's a player who has the same name. But I like to have my expectations challenged in StarCraft 2, and I feel like this is one of those esports where it does tend to happen from time to time, which is great. Let's see if he can do it here in map number 2 on Jagannatha. This is the Terran, ExpecT.
And down here from Team GP, he is leading 1-0 and 3-0 overall in the series from this tournament. Very cool. This is Rex.
Yeah. Team GP, of course, relatively recent team. It's picked up a bunch of Korean and also, as we can see, a few non-Korean players, but definitely on that the Asian region, concentrating their forces there. Taiwan and Korea have a very close relationship as far as ladder is concerned. They basically play ladder on the exact same server. So these players would be hitting a lot of those Koreans that you would be seeing in your Code A's and Code S's.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think, I wonder where ExpecT puts in most of his practice, because there's some players that are ladder heroes, and there's some people that prefer to custom a little bit and play with their teammates or the people that they're friends with and stuff for more sort of targeted practice. So I do wonder where he likes to get his experience. I know a lot of the guys in this region also play a lot of online events, man. If you look at their illegal act, it's just spammed with events that some of them I've never even heard of. There's so many. Yeah,
there's tons. And yeah, I do feel like most practice for most people in StarCraft is ladder. It's like a lot different than, I guess, the higher echelons of Korea in Brood War, where it felt like there was a lot more insular, a lot more internal. People would hide customs, and they'd primarily practice with customs, and, you know, obviously would ladder, but when it came to tournaments, it was all about custom games against your teammates, right? Like in the reign of Kesper. But with StarCraft 2, with it being a lot more of a mercenary sort of free-for-all scenario, it is just all about ladder for practice. It's just Q, and just grind games. Reaper doing a little bit of dance here with the early game Lings. Good micro from Rex, keeping the Lings alive.
Some of those are so hurt too. It's so hard not to get too fresh and just die for one. He does actually manage to pick off one of them in the end. Obviously not going to get too ballsy there, but just stick around a little while longer.
Yeah, the Reaper does get a little bit of damage and confirms the third base as well, which is extremely important, just to make sure that the Zerg's being honest, which they are. And again, just looks like ExpecT is going to be switching over into the factory and the reactor. But small difference here for this map is that the third CC is going to be a little bit faster here for ExpecT, delaying that second gas to afford that faster command center.
Certainly, it is Jagannatha after all. It's a long map. I thought generally Terrans don't really want to play this one, to be honest with you, against Zerg. So I feel like this still has a bit of a Rex edge. You're very far away, despite the speed zones. You know, you need a place to push, and it can sometimes be hard to find the right spot to set up, because while there is a lot of terrain, it's not necessarily like right on top of a base that lets you get that ideal siege tank positioning or anything. So some people don't love this one, but we'll see how we go. Clearly ExpecT is sticking with his plan of taking it to the macro game.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of Terrans that wouldn't prefer to play Zerg on Jagannatha, but you know, he's got his vetoes and he got rid of the maps that he wanted to get rid of. And best of 3, you've got a couple choices, which is good. The Queens do continue to zone back the Reaper Hellion force here of ExpecT. The Viking. There we go. I nearly said the Viper, but the Viking is queued up to definitely get at least one Overlord kill here. But that is going to force Rex to not get full information of the Terran's main afterwards. He sees the factory. He knows that he's up against Hellions, but you know what's next? You don't really know. He might have seen the barracks with the tech lab, and if he noticed the tech lab not spinning, he's probably expecting a starport unit because he knows the starport's done right now. And if it's not on the tech lab, then that means that it's making something after the Viking, but not sure what.
Yeah, I think maybe that is one of the keys here for ExpecT is to try and clear up the vision of Rex. Last game we saw him have a lot of activity on the map with small groups of units, really good creep spread, a few overlords out there, and it made it almost impossible, especially once those mutas were out, for ExpecT to slip anything by him. And even if he did sort of see it coming, he never lost like a hideous amount of drones. It was just like, shoot, he lost 5. Not ideal, but it's cleaned up and it's not a big deal. He'll just make 5 more. So yeah, maybe limiting the vision in any way that he can will give ExpecT the edge that he needs to try and find a little bit more damage.
And it's getting some creep here as well. There's some worth scans if you can get rid of a bunch of creep shimmers like this. Rex, in true Rex fashion, going pretty quickly into that spire. There's a 5.5-minute spire there from Rex. And does he have a Bailey nest up? I feel like you need that if you want to survive. Yes, he does.
He does. Yeah, I expect to see Baneling speed come down with the next lot of gas. There we go.
Heck yeah. And this is the exact build that Rex did to ExpecT in game 1 of their first series. And it looked very convincing. Around about the same time when ExpecT showed up with his first upgraded Marines, mutas were ripping apart his third base.
Yeah. I sometimes feel bad for our Terran friends, you know? I've just watched it happen to them so many times.
Been hanging out with Run 'em Up too much to turn into a Terran apologist. You used to be a Zerg pride. You'd be like, yeah, well, tough break, Terrans. Suck it up. You know, but now the Zeph's changed. She's like, you know what? Terran had it pretty hard all along.
Terrans and Zergs have to unite against the common enemy here.
Yeah, that's right. We all know who the real enemy is. I don't want to name names or bias races here, but let's just say that the problem race is the one that makes Void Rays. Okay, moving on. So it is still the Zerg that seems to win everything. I don't know about this Protoss business, but we'll see. We do. We have Bailing Speed about to finish here, and on creep, those Speed Banes definitely going to be able to handle any amount of bio that the Terran has out at the moment. And this is a much better timed armory for ExpecT to get 2-2 a lot quicker, but ooh, a little bit of a scuffle there in the middle of the map. The Ling's catching a few of those Terran units.
1-1 not quite done for this drop, but it will be by the time it unloads again. And like you said, you know, if the Marines show up, mutas are already here. So with the combined force of mutas and Lings and Queens, he will unfortunately not do any damage with this. Forced to unload. It looks like he'll save the medevac, but has shut down the drop. Nice move from ExpecT though to try and multi-prong again.
Yeah, and again, like with that well-timed armory, he's got a really quick insta-2-2 upgrade starting up as well. So it feels like he's lined up, like even though his drop's being deflected here and he's going to lose these units, obviously, he is lined up for a potentially pretty strong power spike in the mid-game with one of those pushes that kicks in, whether he goes in with Widow Mines, which looks like it's going to be the case, or with tanks. That is going to be a lovely little attack timing for the Terran. Drilling Claws, Widow Mines, 2-2 upgrades, Marines, plenty of medevacs. That is something that is going to be tough for Mutiling Bane to engage.
Yeah, and that's the really cool thing for ExpecT here, because this Zerg style that he's coming up against, it relies on the muta harassment because you're so far behind on those upgrades. You really only have that Bane speed to keep you safe, and that you get diminishing returns from that as the Terran climbs that tech tree and starts getting that bigger force to come at you with. So you really do have to continue with those backstabs, whether it's mutas or Lings, and try and stop him from leaving or crippling him in some way so that you actually have time to catch up with the rest of your stuff, especially if you're continuing to invest in air like we see Rex doing, where he's getting the plus to attack. So he's ideally keeping these mutas alive for a very long time.
And these Lings and Banes that were kind of set up for a run by at that third command center kind of saw the medevacs here, so it's going to send the mutas post-haste to try and intercept those, but they return to the main in safety. The Banelings almost busted these depots, but not quite. SCVs coming in to repair those hit points.
Yeah. ExpecT kind of tucked in his 3 base pocket here. Doesn't have a whole lot of opportunity to move, and you can already see Rex posturing with these small groups of units, checking the size of the map, continue to push that creep spread forward. So I feel like the second he leaves, of course, there's going to be something coming at him. What that will be, we'll soon see. But there's also a chance that if he's far enough out on creep, because it is getting a little bit out of hand, Rex sets up a big surround again and tries to crush this.
Yep, Rex, unfortunately, for as far as surrounds and crushing is concerned, he's on the right side of the map here with a lot of his army. On the left side, the Lings and Banelings are engaging, but it looks like enough Terran potentially to engage this. Oh no, he stood there a little bit too long on his ground at the edge of the creep, and the Banelings got right into the middle of the pack of the bio, so definitely not a great start for ExpecT's push.
No. Trying to go for the SCV line, but actually doesn't really get too much. That was really cost inefficient for Rex on this side. So all in all, pretty decent for ExpecT to hold on there. His push on the left-hand side has paused for the moment, but I'm not sure that Rex has enough there just yet to deal with it should it push in now. But he's got to pay attention to these mutas. They're going to take out this turret. Oh, the contaminates. Dude,
he did this last game. He did this last game as well. Got the contaminate on and just actually killed the engineering bay that he couldn't contaminate. The amount of energy on the Overseer. But a flyby there with his mute is incredibly effective, getting a dozen SCV kills, and the Ling Bane crashing into that third base, forcing more denied mining time lest he lose more workers after losing 12 already. Rex just suddenly a decisive maneuver, and the supplies look quite close, but in the meantime, we've got Rex just doing a lot more damage to ExpecT than ExpecT is doing to him, being 30 workers down. Can that drop in the main equalize things? He's already gotten the gas, he's getting the hit points off the lair. I mean, this would be a lovely pick-off, but
yeah, he'll get it.
Oh, yeah, okay. Getting the lair is quite nice. As long as this drop survives, I feel like the Terran will be pretty happy with that.
I think he may even outstay his welcome just to trade as best as he can with these Marines. True. Look at those Lings. They're just getting absolutely shredded. So, yeah, he will eventually lose that. One medevac may escape, but that's not too bad. That delays Hive. He's lost the pool there as well, so... Actually, did it go down, or is he just making a spare one?
I think he's making another one, expecting that the pool was going to go down. Yeah, he's making a double. Yeah. But yeah, we got the hatchery going down there at the 4 o'clock location, which is a lovely pick-off. More hatchery deaths. Rex still maintaining a supply lead, though. He's starting to muster up a bit of a defense, but also going for a double-pronged attack while trying to defend. Oh, a flyby. The muta's going over some upgraded Marines, but with the Lings assisting, he's actually going to win the battle.
He will. He did lose a couple of extra mutas that he probably didn't need to in doing that, but I'm being really overly critical here in saying that he's still doing so much damage to ExpecT, who, to be fair, is still finding ways to pick off a hatchery or two and do some damage back to Rex. So it's not like ExpecT isn't doing anything on the side of the Zerg, but I feel like the momentum still very much belongs to Rex.
Mm-hmm. This is definitely a little bit more of a mud wrestle than the last game, where Rex was a little bit cleaner against ExpecT. This game, they are very close in supply, but I do think it's similar in the sense that it's going to become a war of attrition. ExpecT does have a bigger and better army than the Zerg at the moment. Can he capitalize on that and get a victory? Because a later game is going to be very tough here for the Terran after taking that econ damage.
Rex happy to move in here now that he's cleared up the mines. And that's just not a problem anymore. Oh, that mutaflock is very thin. There we go. 9 more in the production tab. Oh, but another attack from ExpecT on the other side. He's going to get so many drones.
Drones and a hatchery. Getting the 18 there actually makes a macro game possible here, as the Zerg doesn't have that macro machine firing on all cylinders anymore. And Terran, even though he's beaten, bloodied, and bruised, so is the Zerg. And it's going to be one of those, you know, we're heading to the late game, but both players have taken so much damage economically. Rex still has a bit of a mineral bank, though, so it feels like in that regard, he can retake those hatcheries quite easily, whereas like a Terran remaking command centers and a whole bunch of SCVs is a little bit tough for ExpecT because he has to keep making units, knowing that the Zerg is going to be, you know, especially Rex, who just keeps attacking, is going to be back again very soon.
Yeah, I feel like Rex doesn't have a whole lot of injecting going on.
I mean, that queen does have 200 energy, as does that queen.
I just feel like he has a lot of money.
He's stuck in injects. Uh-oh. Coach Zeph is like, oh, I'm going to get the ruler out, slap you on the wrist. Inject your hatcheries, bro. It's bad
Well,
macro.
he is, on the flip side, keeping up with his creep spread very well. Look at that. ExpecT is going to waltz in here for another attack. Mines burrow very nicely. Oh, those queens getting a bit of a beating. Baneling's now coming in.
Oh, the Banelings found the middle of the pack. I thought those Widow Mines would zone them out for sure, but they kind of hit the Zerglings and the Queens there. And the Banelings lived to tell the tale and actually got the big, juicy connection on the Bio Ball.
Oh, no.
Oh, and the
Medevacs.
Medevacs. Oh, it's too much creep, not enough boost.
They're so low as well. They can't take any hits. ExpecT is actually going to lose. Looks like all of that. Very unfortunate. He really has some good moves, but he just keeps taking huge hits afterwards. That means he can never really capitalize on it. These Lings could get... Okay. I was waiting for them to run over the minefield.
Yes, the drones don't want to be annihilated by these mines again. I mean, there was a moment there for ExpecT where I felt like he was in a really good spot to potentially win the game as long as the engagement went well. But then that's when the Banelings crashed in and hit the middle of the pack on those Marines, and the Widow Mines did not trade as you would have liked to capitalize on that 20 or so army supply advantage and just roll through, steamroll there and get the job done. But ExpecT is trying to replenish, but actually he blocked his own refinery there a little bit with the SCV stuck behind it. But it's working now.
Yeah, there are a couple of really good moments there for ExpecT. I started to believe it's not over till it's over, but he's a bit stuck on his little corner again, isn't he? He doesn't have a whole lot of opportunity to move out, and when he has, he's promptly gotten slapped.
Now, the downside as well for ExpecT here, I'm trying to, don't want to be too one-sided as far as, like, obviously Rex is in a good spot, but he doesn't have a ton of bank, which is good, for the Terran. If a bad fight happens for the Zerg, these Widow Mines get really good connections or something, and it finally happens where the Widow Mines actually take out a bunch of the Zerg army and a lot of Terran still lives to tell the tale, then the Terran could potentially snowball and run through. He's got +3 attack, but Hive has just finished for Rex, and I feel like there is a window right now for ExpecT that's starting to close. And that is when the Ultra Cavern gets dropped, and, Adrenal and Chitinous and +3 attack and armor come down for Rex. Then all of a sudden, the Terran starts to look a little bit flimsy against the late game Zerg. Another infestation pit, did he?
I was just about to say that.
Had a Hive made, so the Hive is at the 3rd as well. That's interesting.
An extra one for good luck, then.
Hell yeah. Double the infestation pit, guys. That's how you make infestors twice as fast. That doesn't work. That's not how it works.
You make a good point. He doesn't have the biggest capability to refresh his army, and with an army like this from the Terran at this stage in the game, you really do need more than one go at it. It's very rare that you see them just get collapsed upon and completely wiped out. And you can see Rex, like, he's going around the army again being like, I don't really want to fight that. I'd rather go do some damage elsewhere. He's going to find these SCVs once again. So ExpecT's economy is actually suffering quite significantly still, but he is getting something going on the right-hand side of the map here.
I do like that these mutas are just parked and camping on top of the production here of the Terran, which is great. But Rex also needs to somehow stop this this death push of ExpecT, where he's got this giant ball of Bio Thor Widow Mine on the front lines here. And he's getting a little bit into it, but of course, the Terran is trading a little bit better over here on this side of the map. It's just the mutas are just camping his production. So the Terran, as he's making units, just running into Mutalisk Glaives. The Lings do find a position of Marines, where the Marines are actually trading quite well here against the Zerg and cleaning up the 3rd base. Oh my god, where did all these units come from? Rex's inject suddenly popping off these hatcheries. He's got a million Zerglings and Banelings just waiting for their time to shine. He's like, yeah, that's cool, ExpecT, just kill a few hatcheries, it's fine. Here comes the swarm.
There it comes indeed. He's going to roll right into this corner where this Bio, no matter how much he micros it, he's actually stuck anyway because he will run out of room. He's just going to try and trade best he can while he loses these units, but ExpecT is forced to go back home. Nice job, like, clearing up the hatcheries. If he can turn off the mineral and gas tap for Rex, and it's not exactly flowing too hard at the moment, that's another way that he can get back into it. Because now look at Rex's money, ExpecT's money rather, compared to Rex's.
Yeah. Another similar situation where he's really pushing Dung uphill here with his work account. 39 against the 61 here of the Zerg, and the Zerg has been losing hatcheries, but still has a few mineral lines to work with. ExpecT's got top left mining and that third base location he's barely mining from. So this main desperately needs to be saturated to have a income that's beastly enough to continue to make an army.
Yep. Press the mule button. Get that going. Starting to clear up some creep here on the left. It's interesting we had that like 17-minute hive, but he's really not being able to use it. He's just getting the +3 carapace now, but no ultras, no other tier 3. I don't think he has adrenal even.
Yeah, I don't think so. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that Rex just hasn't had money because he's been making these tier 2 units over and over again, and those upgrades are so expensive. Chitinous is 100 and bit gas, and then you got the the upgrades are hundreds of gas, and then we have the bio ball coming in here. The Mutas left without a ground force. No, he cannot. He's lost his Lings and his Banelings, and the Mutas will not be able to stand and fight that. And ExpecT actually barrels through, taking off the far left hatchery. And my God, that was like, oh man, he had to pry that game out of Rex's cold, dead hands. That was a tough game for both of them, with ExpecT just barely powering through with the power of army supply.
That was kind of sick on Jagannatha, no less. Very cool win for ExpecT. And that's, that's more what I want to see. Like, he has good moments. So that was really, really hard fought. Rex made it almost impossible for him to actually gain any ground in this game. But I guess this is the downfall of that heavy lair style, right? If your Terran opponent gets maxed out, gets their 3-3, your trading sucks. And it's really hard to actually get these run-bys to be effective, to trade efficiently with the army. And I think the word for ExpecT is persistence.
Yeah.
He kept things going. He kept attacking. He found new angles, lost 2 drops, didn't matter, sent another 2. And bit by bit, he's done it.
And it might have been a little bit of stubbornness on the side of Rex there to just stick around in tier 2 for a little bit too long. And once the Terran gets to 3-3 and they get their Marauders and Marines up with continuing the medevac and mine support, the army is just objectively better for the Terran. You might have less units, but it's very common at the point of a TVZ in the late game to have less workers and less bases in the Zerg, but to be up in army supply and rely on your forces doing damage and cleaning up the Zerg in sort of like a steamroll, a slow death push of Bio, Mine, Thor with medevac support just encroaching onto those hatcheries. And I think he probably killed like 5 or 6 hatcheries in that game because he seemed to always be... Rex was always on ExpecT's side of the map, and ExpecT was always on Rex's side of the map that whole game. They were just tearing each other apart that whole time. It was a bloodbath. But when you're a Zerg and you're doing that, those are Lings and Banelings that you don't get back. The Baneling, once it blows up, it's gone. And you need to be able to split your defenses and do well on the attack at the same time, which is definitely Rex's play style. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's funny that the ExpecT kind of wins a map playing the same style that Rex usually plays. It's like, it's kind of cool, kind of styled on him a little bit. I like it. So we're going to have to see if he can take him out in map 3. That would be extremely wild. I would say that's an upset. ExpecT is the underdog here. Statistically, I mean, maybe these guys play a little bit more often in other tournaments and we're just not aware of the caliber of ExpecT and the consistency that he could have against Rex. But he definitely showed what can happen once he finds his rhythm in that second game.
Heck yeah. Well, let's get into game 3 and see if ExpecT can really upset this group by getting a second win in a row and making things look real good here for our Terran, who we have not seen the top 4 just yet. In the bottom right, winning game 2. Can he do it again here on Lightshade? This is ExpecT.
And up here in the top left, he likes his lair-based styles. This is the blue Zerg from Team TP, Rex.
And we got a Lightshade here as our final battleground between these two players. And this isn't our final series, by the way. We have that rematch for Gogo Joey and But Always directly afterwards, so plenty more StarCraft to come.
Sure do. And if that wasn't enough, guess what, Maynard? Right after this, there is even more StarCraft because the EU region will be kicking off right away. So hope all you nerds watching at home are strapped in.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, this is the place to be. You know, when DreamHack Masters kicks around, we're in a brand new season. We've gone through the qualifiers. It's time for the Masters. ESL underscore SC2, and also ESL underscore SC2B, the B stream. Don't miss that because there's always too many games for one stream to handle. Is the play you can just sit here for like 12 hours and just watch, like, you know, Oceania roll over into Taiwan, roll into EU, roll into NA. It's just non-stop. So much StarCraft.
24-hour StarCraft zone.
That's it. SCV coming in for a scout here, and if you're one of those Terrans who's like, you know, I don't like to SCV scout. I like to just wait for the Reaper to go across the map to see what the Zerg's up to. You know, you can actually just give the Zerg free wins if you don't do it. So I feel like it's always worth sending the SCV across the map and wait for the you know, the Reaper. The SCV confirms if they're going hatch first or pull first, and then the Reaper double confirms what is happening with either of those strategies. Like, is it a hatch first into you know, are they going into a third base, or is there a Roach Warren? How many gases have they got? Is it a fast layer or something weird? That's what the Reaper confirms. The SCV is first step for scouting. TLDR, if you're a Terran ladder player, always SCV scout.
Yeah, and I mean, cut corners, if you will, but perhaps not in a game 3 when your tournament life is on the line.
Yeah, definitely not in tournaments.
Definitely doesn't help. Doesn't hurt, rather, to be super safe in your tournament matches. And we've actually seen a lot of that from the players. I was noticing it earlier when we kicked off with Oceania and rest of Asia. The scouting from everybody is so thorough, because no one wants to lose that one match because they didn't scout the proxy, whatever it was.
Yeah, exactly. Like nothing feels worse than getting knocked out of a tournament to something that's like a super all-in early game cheese, right? Like, if you're going to go down, you want to go down fighting. You don't want to just have like a strategy catch you with your pants down and win the game. It's hard. It's hard to look good when you lose those games of StarCraft. Fast medevac here from ExpecT, by the way. So looks like he's going to get aggressive to start things off with. He's been loving these early starport aggressions, you know, whether it be a Liberator or a Viking. This time it's the medevac.
Yeah, I like that he's changing it up still as well. That's one thing that he definitely has in his back pocket as a Terran, is that you just have a wide variety of openers. A lot of versatility. Everyone has their preferences, but yeah, I mean, against someone that you're not favored against, it doesn't hurt to try a few different things and just see what sticks. We're actually going to have a Cloaked Banshee follow-up here.
And this is something that ExpecT did on this map actually against Rex the first time they played each other. It seems like maybe he just likes the multiple Cloaked Banshee on Lightshade, so he's just doing it again. The drop in the main base, that early medevac showing up and actually finding a little bit of damage, and even the Hellions showing up at a largely undefended third base. This strategy from ExpecT paying off a little bit here. Nicely done.
Those Hellions are still alive too. They're going to go into the natural because the Queens were down at the third.
Oh,
and these drones are now actually attacking.
Get your plates out, chat. Let's get some drones on that barbecue plate. Plenty of sauce. Delicious.
ExpecT, man. He's, I feel like he's definitely found his stride in this series. Now that's a great start to have 9 work kills there. It does lose the medevac, so that stings a little bit, but you know, Rex tends to go big or go home, so if you can start slowing him down early on, that does help.
Yeah, I mean, that damage wasn't free, but for a moment there, he was 41 SCVs against 20-odd drones. It's a lovely spot to be economically as a Terran, and keep in mind that he's got the Banshees as well, so if Rex wanted to say, you know, go, well, screw you, I'm going to mass roaches, and he goes across the map, he would lose the game immediately if he did that. So it's the power of these Banshees, it's the power of those that early medevac, and ExpecT definitely catching Rex with his hand in the cookie jar, and Rex getting punished for it.
Yeah. And a couple of Lings came across the map to try and have a little bit of a poke, and in doing so, he saw that the Banshees were coming, so straight away 3 spores went down. And if nothing else, you know, that's 3 more drones that aren't mining and now have to be rebuilt because he had to make that spore crawler just to be safe. You do have Queens, but, you know, they've got Cloak. You need a little bit more help than just the plain old Queen defense, and it looks like Hellions are poised to try and have have a little bit more fun in the mineral line should they get the opportunity, but can also sit at the edge of creep and just deny some of those tumors.
Yep. The double Banshee now coming in for ExpecT, trying to put salt in the wounds at the drone line of Rex, which has already taken a beating from those early game Hellions, the early game Marines. Banshee's trying to add to this, exacerbate the drone problem here for Rex. And I mean, Rex is ahead in workers at the moment, but again, like, even though the early game damage seems to have been rectified by Rex, keep in mind that this is minerals and lava being spent to replenish drones lost that he did not want to have to spend on drones. He wants to be able to make more, you know, lings right now. Maybe start heading towards a hatchery and getting his upgrades on those Evo chambers. He doesn't want to have to keep making drones.
Precisely. Things are just going to be a round or two behind where they would have been before. It is a different strategy. As you pointed out, he's gotten roaches, and maybe his strategy here could be to hold down the R button eventually, but what we've been seeing so far is a whole lot of muta, and in this case the Banshees has actually been the perfect storm here. He's still doing damage while Rex is trying to get something else going. He's actually pumping out a whole lot of lings with this as well.
Wow.
And racking up the kills here, man.
Oh man, I mean, the natural Hellions aren't going to get a whole lot done, but those Banshees are absolutely putting in work. Rex going to sleep here on the main base. He's lost his queen, and he's like, oh, the main, I guess, is fine. No, it's not! This is that "this is fine" meme where everything's on fire and the dog is just sipping a coffee while melting its skin. He's lost 18 drones. This is devastating damage here. These Banshees have absolutely paid for themselves.
Wow. This is actually unreal. ExpecT is chosen so well for this match. Now, there are a lot of units on the field because Rex has been churning them out, but guess what? ExpecT, he's so defended here. Those run-bys aren't going to be coming to fruition anytime soon. Might have better luck going for the third base when there's finally some workers on it. But the pressure is not going to go away from ExpecT anytime soon.
And also, just to talk about the compositions here, I think that Rex is honestly playing a unit comp that he's not super comfortable with. He mentioned in interviews that he really likes Lingbane Muta and he really likes the Spire play. Forcing out the Roaches here as a result of the Hellions doing a little bit more early game damage and just Marines being a little bit quicker than he would have expected. The Zerg is now facing, is forced to go Lingbane Ravager here against the Terran, who's picked up what he's putting down, is making Marauders, he's got tanks. And I feel like the composition of the Terran is actually just heading towards being better than the Zerg at the moment. And it's large. Like, look at the army supply difference.
Yeah, that's getting quite concerning for Rex. And he's just churning out lings. He's getting 1-1. There's not a lot that helps him deal with these drops. This is the downside of not having that Spire tech. That's just going to dance around all day. And he's still got this Banshee here because he doesn't have anything that can really chase it down and deal with it. Plus, he's paying attention to wherever ExpecT is dropping at the moment. So this is really getting ridiculous. As Insano shows us, 45 workers killed.
Yeah, that's
Hello?
absolutely insane. I've seen double Banshees with Cloak, like, in the hands of Innovation do damage like that, but this is absolutely bonkers, the amount of drones that have gone down at the moment. Man, this rematch, it's looking a little bit better for ExpecT right now. The Dark Horse coming on in and saying, no, Rex, not this time. He's definitely ahead at the moment in a large fashion. I do not know how Rex stops this push.
I think we might be in for quite the upset here. There's more drone kills happening in that third base, but Rex just doesn't have enough units to spread between both spots at once here. He's trying to morph some more Banes. He's got a couple of Ravagers, but look at that Terran army. Look at the amount of tanks.
Yeah, he's not cracking that nut. No way. He's losing drones to this drop at the third hatchery. Rex is got spaghetti coming out of his pockets. Can he stop this push? I just don't think so. He pushes the bio back with those tanks, still holding on strong, firing from the back line. Reinforcements through up the guts of the map, and that's it. ExpecT winning the rematch against Rex here, heavily favored.